Welcome to the Central Newfoundland Morning Show podcast for Thursday, May 24th. I'm Leanne Power. Coming up on today's podcast, Moose Matters. Whose fault are moose vehicle accidents anyway? Animals or drivers? We'll talk about that. The provincial That is Peter Pope. He's an archaeology professor at Memorial University. Some hunters and anglers have gotten together and started a group called Save Our Moose Action Committee. The group is led by Edward Smith, the president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Waterfowlers. You could say it's a response to the well-known group Save Our People Action Committee, or SOPAC. Now Smith has started a petition, and it says the number of moose vehicle collisions has been used to grossly misrepresent moose populations throughout the province. It says drivers need to pay more attention on the roads. And CBC's Beth McDonnell spoke with Edward Smith in CBS.
Tell me, why has your association decided to make a petition?
Well, we've seen over the past number of years, there's this increasing campaign to reduce the number of moose in the province. And there's been reports that moose are already on the decline. And in hunter returns, you're seeing a decline in moose being hunted. And so, the numbers of animals being harvested each year is being reduced. So you're actually seeing a decline anyway in moose populations. We decided that we wanted to get together to save the moose because we're seeing that the management was being forced to go to a fear response form of management where they were introducing culls and they were introducing, new practices that they would never have introduced prior to groups and their campaigns to reduce these moose populations. And you're also seeing an increase in moose vehicle collisions over the past 10 years. Now, having said that, we wanted to make sure that people understood, there is reasons why these moose vehicle collisions are increasing, and also we wanted to get government to understand that, our point of view is that there aren't more moose, and in fact, Minister French has come out and actually indicated that moose are on the decline province-wide, and so we wanted to make sure that there was a strong, logic, scientific-based management strategy that was being put forward.
You say in the petition that there is a campaign shift away from scientific, logic-based management strategy to one that is based on emotions and a fear response. What do you mean by that? Why is that language there?
Well, basically, you're seeing with the increased number of moose vehicle collisions, you're seeing people that are getting this massive emotional response. Yes, there's people being struck and killed, struck and severely injured by moose, but when you know for yourself, if you get angry about something, you're not always thinking clearly, and so we wanted to make sure that you're getting a response that is logical.
Where do you think this fear is coming from?
Well, people are afraid that they're going to strike a moose. There's also a group out there now and that are building and are using that fear to promote their agenda.
Are you talking about SOPAC?
Yes, and SOPAC, for instance, are out there. They're using the fear of moose and creating a fear that people are just reacting instead of thinking logically about what's going on. People are getting updates constantly through media and other outlets about moose vehicle collisions. But there's some very striking things that are missing from those reports. Speed, what the driver was doing at the time of night, the time of day. You're getting all that information.
Weather conditions, is that?
That's another one. Weather conditions is another one. You're getting a part of the story. You're not getting the full story.
But at the same time, people want to be informed. People feel that knowing where these moose are, may protect them if they're going down that road.
Totally. And it's important that we know where the moose are to. That allows the driver to have some reaction time, to reduce its speed, to be able to see what's coming. But having said that, there's lots of people out there that disregard that information. Is it moose the problem, or are the drivers the problem? And then it may be a touchy subject for people, but we have to look at ourselves. We're the ones that have the most control here in the situation compared to as moose.
The other side of this is, drivers would probably feel a lot more comfort, though, if they knew that the moose weren't waiting there in the bushes, that they might not jump out in front of the car. So wouldn't we just be better off with knowing that there's less moose, that the chances of one of these animals coming out and in front of our cars is dramatically reduced?
It's a false sense of security. If you look at population dynamics, you look at how habitats are set up. If there is a vacancy, and you start calling moose on the highway, as has been suggested, and you see that there's an area that is opened up free of moose. So then another, as the population expands again, or new recruits, which is new calves being born, and they're being kicked away from their mother, they have to find their own territory. And the one that's vacant is the one they're going to take. And that's going to be more moose near the highway. So you're actually reducing the population is not really the solution to reducing moose vehicle collisions. The onus is on us.
You believe that by going slower that we're able to avoid hitting moose?
More likely we'd be able to avoid them. I've actually seen instances where moose have gone onto the highway and people have avoided it. They've seen it and they moved around, but you see one fellow that is flying at top speed and hit the moose. Now, whose fault is that? Is that the moose's fault for being on the highway, or is that the person's fault for speeding?
We've heard from Minister French that the numbers have gone down.
The numbers have gone down.
What's your problem with the way that number has gone down then?
The problem with that is there's areas in the province we don't know exactly what's going on. In the Northern Peninsula, again, for another example, is that there's a disease up there that's hitting moose that are healthy and mature, that are killing them, and we don't know what that is yet. Also, you see an increase in harvest numbers due to that fear response, as we were talking about. We're seeing, provincial government has increased the, hunting license over the past number of years for up 6,000 licenses. You're seeing, so that's taking its toll on moose as well.
But there's been no major call. We haven't had the government go out there with the trucks and their guns and shoot a whole bunch of animals.
Exactly, and that's what we want to prevent. And that's because that reduction in moose population, we don't think it's warranted.
And you're afraid that the government may decide to do this, that the pressures are getting great on them? Is that what your fear is?
Exactly, and there's very little to combat what is out the campaign that's out there now. Now, the major opinion out there is that moose aren't native. Why we care? Well, if we really want to take a look at it, neither are we. We're not native to the island. There's nobody here in Newfoundland, whether they've been here since the days of John Cabot. There have been transplants from another country. So the whole idea of moose being not native to the province is a moot. It's a smoke and mirrors. They're here. They've been established. Those moose that we have today were born here.
Okay, so you have your petition on the go here. What do you want to do with it?
We want to put it to government so that they will not be forced into a cull situation to reduce moose population in the province. I mean, we have biologists throughout the province that are doing hard and valid work that need to be supported. And if we're not going to take their work and just base our decisions on fear and instead of research, then you're really going to end up with big problems down the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not a problem. Thank you.
And that was Edward Smith, the president of the Newfoundland and Labrador waterfowlers. Now, SOPAC, the Save Our People Action Committee, has been very vocal about the moose population and the risk it poses to drivers. Here's Eugene Nippard.
What do you make of the Save Our Moose petition?
Well, we got no problems with saving the moose. I mean, we got no problems with that. SOPAC don't have any problems with saving the moose. And, matter of fact, if there's 100,000 moose on the gaff topsails, for example, we don't mind that. But what's along the highway is what SOPAC is concerned about. But we're not trying to kill off all the moose. We're trying to protect the highway and kill the moose along the highway. And apart from that, we're not trying to kill off the moose. And Save Our People Action Committee means we're save the people that's traveling the highway. With 780 moose accidents a year over $1,000, and like I got notes there of 33 people killed and 32 in wheelchairs. We do have a major concern, Mr. Smith. So what we would like to you maybe come on board. They got families on the highway also.
Some of the reasons they feel that this issue is not being properly managed is that SOPAC and others are not putting enough responsibility on the drivers themselves. And, in terms of going the right speed, paying attention, they're mentioning cell phones and texting and the speed, saying that, a lot more onus needs to be on the drivers who are getting in these accidents to wake up and pay attention. What do you say to that?
Well, we agree that speed is a major problem in this province. People are doing like 120, 130, whatever, kilometers an hour, and that's a major problem. And we agree that there needs to be more enforcement. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that at our AGM. And if we can get more police on the highway, and if that means we got to hire extra police or whatever to protect the people of this province, well, maybe we'll have to go that way. But, we got to look at it from a perspective that if someone is doing 120 and they get they're into an accident and they lose their life, it's still a problem. We still have the moose wandering on the highway. We need that brush cut, and we've been working on that tooth and nail, and we are making a difference there. So, but we also want the moose protected. Take the moose away before it's killed or the person is killed,
Mr. Smith says that, they're concerned that the fear is being built up so much about these accidents, and there's so much lobbying and pressure being put on the government. Their fear is that there will be, a mass call of moose, and, doesn't feel this is the right way to go. Are you still advocating for a mass call?
No, SOPAC is not advocating for a mass call. Why would we want to call all the moose in the province? Why would we want to do that?
But what about the drivers? Is it time that we give more information about these accidents, about, how fast the drivers are going, the conditions? Is it time to put more effort onto drivers being more safe? Is that why these accidents are happening? Is it possible that if drivers were more careful, that these moose accidents wouldn't be happening?
Well, see, like I said, we agree speed is a problem. We asked, right now, one of our first proposals we made to the government in 2009 was to reduce the speed at night by 20 kilometers, right? So we figured that would all be a help. The government didn't even entertain that. So we can't help that. We're trying to get the speed reduced on the highway. If someone gets killed, at 70, and we have had people killed at 70, we have had people killed at 120. But I mean, whether it's 70 or 120, there's still a person killed or a life destroyed. So what we got to do is we'll never get people to slow down. And like when we started in 2009, only 20% of this province had brush cut, and 70% of our accidents is where there was brush.
But does risk...
Something had to be done.
But does the risk represent the amount of fear that is out there about getting in a car and driving on our highways?
I tell you, I talk to a lot of people every day, and people are scared to death to go from Botwood to Grand Falls, Windsor. I'm talking to the cashier down at Walmart or the cashier at Riffs. They're frightened to death to go on the highway. The lady that's working at Gooby's intersection, the Irving there, traveling back and forth from Clarenville, I've talked to her. She's frightened to death, but she got to be on the highway. That's her job. I mean, there's a major fear. And it's right. It's right. There's a reason to be scared. We need the moose removed, like they did in St. John's the other day. The moose needs to be removed, tranquilized, taken away, or killed and sent to a non-charitable organization. Not to the dump. Killed before there's a serious moose accident and someone is injured and killed and the moose killed.
So going back to this petition, are you concerned at all about what it says?
I tell you, we just had a quick meeting, Ben. It's going to be on our agenda for the AGM. Yes, it's a big concern because, if the government listens to groups like this to the point that we're gone back to 150 or 160,000 moose a year and not more done to protect the highway, yes, we got a problem. There's no doubt we got a big problem. I mean, we don't understand. Humans got to come before animals.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
And that is Eugene Nippert. He's with the Save Our People Action Committee, and SOPAC's AGM is happening on Monday in St. John's. Well, the news trickling down to us since the federal budget was released in late March has been consistently bad for this province. Cuts to marine services, fisheries and oceans, and service